What's up, everyone? I'm Matt, and I decided to do my judicial rhetoric on is the world more dangerous today than it was in the past? I will prove that the world is not more dangerous, but people are more afraid than they were years ago. If we take a look at last year, we have things like social media and cell phones. So we hear more things that are happening in current times. Almost every day, we would hear about shootings or other acts of violence that have happened in some part of the world. And the more you hear about these things, the more scared you become. This makes people come to a false conclusions that the world today is more violent and a dangerous place to live in, but really it's not. In the past, there was no social media that was available, so people had to rely on newspapers or TV for their news. These platforms had limited space, like, for instance, TV in the past had small segments to talk about a story, and newspapers had limited space for every article. In the past, war usually took front page and would carry over into other pages. Nowadays, with the use of social media, we see posts from individuals that will not necessarily make our local newspaper or news broadcast. We would see things about people getting attacked for their political beliefs. We would also hear about the rise in hate crime towards minorities. Although these stories are true, we have to realize that these crimes have been going on for hundreds of years. We just did not hear about them as much, so we did not really worry about them. Let's face it, there's always been crazies around us. For some reason known to them would want to cause harm to others. The more we hear about this and see this, the more we worry about things getting worse. Today, we have hate crime laws that were put in place to stop hate groups from committing violence to minorities like they have done in the past. This is their way of making the world safer. For my first argument, let's take a look at ways we receive our news. In the past, before the internet and social media, there was newspapers, word of mouth, and TV. As far as TV, you had the 6 o'clock and the 11 o'clock news. These were usually half an hour broadcasts, and they would cram all their stories in. Now we have the 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. news, then the 12 p.m. news, and the 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. news, and the 11 p.m. news. We also have networks that specialize in news, such as CNN. Since news teams have more time to cover large sections of the country and world, we will hear more things. For example, this week's shooting in Colorado, where a crazed gunman killed 10 people in a supermarket. In the past, this might have not gotten national attention, but because of the cell phone footage and social media, it has become national news, and we are having a national discussions about this. While this is tragic and not new, and should not be chalked up to the crazy times that we live in today. History is filled with stories about mass murders. On the top of my head, I could think of Jack the Ripper, the Charles Manson cult, the Son of Sam, and the Columbine High School massacre. These are just to name a few. These stories got national attention, but there were other murders that we did not hear about, like those that occurred in smaller towns. We did not hear as much or anything compared to what we hear today. Today, we have more ways to share our news. We have social media. We even get alerts straight sent to our phones. With more people hearing about more crimes, people naturally get more scared. But the overall crime rate has actually dropped in the recent years. This takes me to my second argument. To make sure I knew what I was talking about and further prove my point, I looked up violent crime rate statistics from the past decade compared to today. I was not surprised when I learned on statista.com and safehome.org in 2019 there were 16,425 reported cases of murder or manslaughter in the United States, which was a decrease from 1991, where there was 24,700 murders or manslaughters reported, and this drop in numbers is despite a 20% increase in the population. I don't know about you, but this is very compelling evidence to me. Next, I wanted to find the overall crime rate in the past decade and found out that this also decreased from 11.6 million criminal incidents in 1999 to 8.4 million crime rates reported in 2018. And though we are in 2021 and the statistics only go to 2018, it is proof that the world is heading in the right direction. We have new laws that now protect us that we didn't have in the past. And this brings me on to my third argument. We have hate crime laws that we didn't have in the past. These laws are meant to protect us by posing harsher penalties for hate crimes, and this might make someone think twice before committing a crime. We still have today have the hate groups such as the KKK and the neo-Nazi organizations, but in the past they were not so worried about committing acts of hate. The crimes would get swept on the rug, they would say, or not focused upon. Now with the state and federal hate crimes, these crimes carry stiffer penalties and get national attention. We might hear about these crimes because news and social media has an interest in them, and although they should not be diminished, they have been going on for hundreds of years, which is especially happening in the Old South. They just were not talked about as much on a national scale. I'm sure the opposition has plenty of reasons why they feel like I'm wrong. Like, for instance, my parents' generation remember the past as being very safe. They used to go out onto the park alone, and their parents would call them from the window to tell them when it's time to go back. Their parents would let them walk to school on their own. But does it really make it safer? The answer is no. According to an article on worldatlas.com, it said that in the years 1960 to 1970, the homicide rates had doubled. Car thefts, burglaries, and robberies and rapes have also increased, and today the numbers are not going down, or are going down, not up. People can pull up recent stories and recent violence and injustice to try to prove me wrong. But they would need to look back at the statistics and see the past was even more dangerous than it is today. Crime did and will happen throughout history and in all parts of the world. The more we hear about what is happening, the more dangerous we think it is. But the truth still remains the same. Although these dangers were around in the past, but it was not broadcasted on everyday social media platforms around the country or world. In conclusion, the world is not more dangerous today than it was in the past. We have more access to stories of this nature at our fingertips. The crimes are not new, we are just hearing more about them. Social media allows people to share and repost stories, so that it seems to appear that they are happening, but more often in reality they are not. The world was always messing up and will continue to be, but it is not more dangerous today than it was in the past. In the fact, it's becoming safer.